This is going to be my last video talking about Charlie Kirk. Everything that's been said about this guy has been said. But quite honestly, it's just getting worse. The right wing, and I have to laugh at this. Everyone kept assuming, thanks mainly to Donald Trump and so many of his supporters, that the killer was a Democrat, left-wingist, radical leftist. Imagine the shock when you found out that the shooter wasn't a black man. He wasn't a Latino. He wasn't ISIS, or ISIS-K, or ISIS-Z, or whatever, Al-Qaeda. He wasn't a member of the LGBTQ in this country. The governor of Utah was praying for 30 hours, according to him, over 3 hours, praying that it wouldn't be one of ours. What exactly does that mean, one of ours? Does that mean American? Does that mean white American? Or does it mean MAGA? Because it turned out that the assassin was MAGA. Not all the things that the right wing have demonized us as, but MAGA. Beyond all that, this is the last time I'm going to talk about Charlie Kirk. Because quite frankly, everything that's said has been said. We're angry that happened, we're saddened that happened, but the right wing has made their business to try to edify Charlie Kirk into sainthood. He was a perfect man of God. He was an angel. He did no wrong. He was all-powerful. Even going so far as to compare him to Martin Luther King. Even going so far as to compare as saying that his assassination is just as bad as the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Yeah, they actually went there. Well, it's time I snap you back to reality. You're gonna hate me for it. You're gonna accuse me of everything for it. But the facts are the facts. Charlie was no angel. No Christ-like being. He was more of a kin to being the devil himself. And I'm going to give you examples as to why and what he was that. I'm going to read you an article from my friend John Pavlovitz illustrating all of that. And as I said before, you're going to hate me for it, but it's the truth. As news of his shooting broke, the Jesus washing of Charlie Kirk's life by conservative Christians began almost immediately. My social media feed quickly was flooded with urgent pleas of protection made by religious people for a supposed warrior of Christ and devoted man of God. Their words, not mine. A pastor I once partnered with posted an emotional video calling Kirk a man who loved the Lord, stands on the morals and traditional values of the Bible, and believes in Jesus and is a follower of the Christ. And within minutes of his death, announced a public prayer visual to pray for Kirk's family and for revival to come to our nation. And with every passing second of this reprehensible murder, the right has been working tirelessly to turn Kirk into a modern-day martyr, a supposed unabased lover of Jesus Christ, whose brutal murder proved he lived and died for the Lord, violently taken by the godless left, and crystallizing the righteousness of the MAGA movement. I'd be like to be shocked at the theatrical gymnastics that these people have done, but these are the same self-identified Christians who spent the last decade lionizing a vile, amoral, serial predator and court-adjudicated rapist. So the bar for sainthood is now subterranean. Though it will likely never happen, I wish tens of millions of conservative Christians will take a few minutes from the performative, garment-winning historics to read or listen to Charlie Kirk's own words, to look objectively at the agenda he spent the last few years of his life promoting with his massive platform, and show me how they connect the dots from that to Jesus. Just a few examples. Kirk had claimed that the passing of the 1964 Civil Rights Act was, quote, a huge mistake, and that has now become a, quote, anti-white weapon. During an episode of his show, Surrounded, in 2024 September, Kirk stated that even if his 10-year-old daughter became pregnant due to a rape, she would be forced by Kirk to carry the baby to term. On January 3rd, 2024, on an episode of his show, Kirk continued his insistent verbatim assaults on women of color, saying, and I quote, "If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who is a moronic black woman, I'm wondering if she's there because of her excellence or if she's there because of affirmative action," unquote. During an April 5th, 2023 appearance at the Salt Lake City campus of Awakened Church, Kirk said, and I quote, it's worth it to have a cost. Unfortunately, some gun deaths, every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our God-given rights. That is a prudent deal," unquote. In March of 2024, Kirk said on his show, "The Great Replacement Strategy, which is well on the way in every single day on our southern border, is a strategy to replace white rural America with something different." Kirk decried what he described as the myth of Martin Luther King Jr., calling him awful and, quote, not a good person. Another time denouncing him as, and I quote, a serial adulterer, alleged rapist, a reparations proponent, and a racist Marxist, unquote. A fierce opponent of DEI initiatives designed to give underrepresented and marginalized communities equal opportunities, he said, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified, unquote. On April 30th, 2025 episode of his show, Kirk related his unapologetic Islamophobia, saying, and I quote, large dedicated Islamic areas are a threat to America, unquote. In the 2024 episode of his show, Kirk quoted a Leviticus passage calling for gay people to be stoned to death, referring it as, quote, God's perfect law, and called for a, quote, Nuremberg-style trial for every gender-affirming clinic doctor, unquote. And through Jesus' life and ministry overflowed with compassion for the poor, the sick, and vulnerable, Kirk recently said, and I quote, I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think that empathy is a made-up, new-age term that does a lot of damage, unquote. I'm left to wonder and ask professed Christians posthumously elevating Charlie Kirk as some kind of hero of the faith these three questions. Is this what you think followers of Jesus would do? Is this what Christianity is to you? How can you call any of this Christ-like? As someone MAGA Christians would see as a godless, sinful heathen, I'm sure they will choose not to thoroughly consider what I've shared. But that won't change what is. Kirk left a hateful, dehumanizing legacy of words that his Christian conservatives either choose to ignore in their zeal to canonize him or simply share his racist, prophetic, misogynistic, Islamophobic, anti-Semitic, white supremacist sentiments, and in Trump's garnish, Jesus-less model of the Christian faith in America. Now imagine them righteous. Evangelicals in America have so lost the plot of their faith's namesake that they can overlook decades of blatant, unrepentant attacks on the most vulnerable members of our community, the very people Jesus showed great care for while he was here on this world. In their quest to fulfill the rage of their movement requires. Their tribal, cultic religion is so fueled by the narrative of a national holy war with ever-encroaching enemies and adversaries that must have martyrs to rally around to justify their continuous actions and attacks on people who pose them no threat. Charlie Kirk's murder is a despicable, vile, commendable act. We know this. We all know this, and we have all said it. But that doesn't erase the incalculable harm that he has done to people of color, to women, to immigrants, to the LGBTQ, as well as the minds of young Christian conservative white men. And no amount of Jesus washing, reality covering, revisionist history from the MAGA and the Republican Party politicians will cover the reality that the compassionate, kind, neighbor-loving, diversity-embracing, foreigner-welcoming teachings of Jesus are fully antithetical to this divisive, dehumanizing empire that Charlie Kirk built. Jesus commanded to love thy neighbor. How did Kirk love immigrants and people of color and women and LGBTQ and Muslims and Democrats and atheists? But Sophie, tell me, what of his works and words made them feel more seen, heard, and respected and valued. Kirk was a human being, a husband, a father, a leader to a movement, an adept communicator, and his murder was an act of unconsolable barbarism. But Christian conservatives need to stop pretending that he was doing God's work here. Because Kirk's words and the actual words of Jesus Christ are compelling testimony that he wasn't. So I ask the question again. Where in Charlie Kirk's past has he ever shown any Christ-like behavior? He hasn't. I know that the MAGA are angry, but they're angry because their little ruse of saying that a leftist, a radical leftist, a black man or a Latino man or someone from overseas or someone from the LGBTQ didn't kill Charlie Kirk. It was one of your own that killed Charlie Kirk. That fantasy of all black men are criminals, pushed by Donald Trump, mind you. That all Latinos are criminals, pushed by Donald Trump, mind you. That all LGBTQ are somehow criminals, insane, pushed by Donald Trump and his supporters, and including Charlie Kirk, mind you. It blew up in your face that one of your own killed Charlie Kirk. So right now, consider the case of Charlie Kirk closed. We need to refocus on what's really important in this country. That we have a madman as a president who's sending the military into American cities. Now he's threatening to send them to Memphis, Tennessee. It's amazing that he's not sending them to red cities and red states inhabited by mostly white people. We need to refocus on the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. Don't think we haven't forgotten about that, Donald. No, don't think we haven't forgotten about that. That we have an administration of incompetent people. Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, and Don Bangango, whatever his name is, being his deputy director. Just to name two. Are screwing the donkey every single day during their jobs. We need to refocus on the fact that Donald Trump is actively breaking the Constitution on a daily basis. That prices from everything from gas to food are still going up. Regardless of the lie that Donald Trump wants to continuously push that everything's okay, that we're doing the great job, America is biting back. No, it's not. We got to refocus on the fact that Donald Trump is the most divisive president in our nation's history. And I'm going to mention Charlie Kirk one last time. After the assassination, President Trump didn't come to the nation, go to the nation and speak with words of sadness and calls to unity and to stop violence. He practically painted a bullseye on my forehead and a lot of the foreheads of people who identify themselves as Democrats. He isn't trying to unite our country. All he is doing is trying to divide it all over again. He hasn't united our nation. He doesn't know how. All he knows how to do is attack. This could have been your moment, Trump, to unite our nation against political violence. But all you have done is divided it and made all of us into targets. If we do the smallest tangential thing, like ask you a question of why you plan to do this, that, and the other. Charlie Kirk, he's gone. Get over it. We have more important things to worry about in our nation. And the top of that list is you, Trump. We have to worry about you every day. This is bigger than Charlie Kirk. A lot bigger. CTP, no truth, God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.